Can
Hello.
it's great to actually kick off Seamless with the interview that we were supposed to do, I think,
A while ago.
a while ago. Yes, but it's great. The events like Seamless are probably great because we bump into people and we have chances to catch up. So how have you been? How's your role at Publicis?
I'm great. My role at Publicis, well, I'm a veteran. I've been there for over a decade. I currently lead on a few of the largest clients in Saudi and also in Dubai. So I handle their programmatic strategy. I've been in partnerships. I've been in products. So I've had a great stint, and it's going great.
Amazing. So you've mentioned at the beginning that you've kicked off your own podcast.
Yes, exciting stuff. Me, along with my co-host, who's also my ex-colleague. The unique thing about us was that we both been in the same group for over 10 years, but now she left to other opportunities. We just got to talking one day, and I'd been meaning to start a podcast for a while.
May I ask you, what is your podcast about?
Yes, it's called This Wasn't in the Manual.
This wasn't in the manual.
Yeah.
I like the title. Wow.
Yeah, so we wanted to bring conversations that were never really taught to us, because when Sania, who's my co-host, and I were talking, we realized a lot of the navigation we did, whether it was coming into a media agency or Sania moving countries, it was never really taught to us. So we basically found our way either through network, people, or researching, and not everyone has that opportunity. So we wanted to bring those conversations to people. So hopefully in the smallest way, if we can have some impact, we win with that.
Absolutely. You know, more and more people who actually have got their permanent jobs in corporate world are starting their own podcasts or participating actively in other people's show. Why do you think this is happening?
Honestly, I think we're so stuck doing the same thing day in and out. There's only so much you can invent yourself at your day job. I mean, I've been very lucky that my company has always given me an opportunity to do so, but I think a lot of people want to explore their creativity in different forms. So it's not just podcasting. They do so many things. Side hustles are, no, I think it's become a necessity, not just for the money, but also to stimulate yourself in different ways, I suppose.
Where do you think podcasting leads in terms of the formats? What do you think it helps compared to, let's say, we're doing the video podcasting, right? So compared to, let's say, traditional TV or probably full-scale advertising, or, for example, keynote speaking, public speaking. So where do you think podcasting leads the way?
I think every medium has a mood and a time and a space. I personally, and these are not stats, but I personally don't like bucketing them. For me, when we launched our podcast, we decided that for the season 1, we're going to go full form audio, and we'll have video bites on socials so you can see who we are, who we're talking to. But a lot of people feedback was that, but video formats are the way to go. But I personally am an audio podcast consumer. So it's a very individual choice. So where do I see it in comparison? I don't know. It's just a different time for a different person. You reach a different kind of audience through a different medium. So that's what I feel about podcasting. It's also so intimate, which I don't think TV or keynote speeches are, because you're in someone's ear at all times. So I find it a very intimate experience.
I think you've just nailed it about many things, actually. And I think, first of all, it's about the preferences.
Yeah.
So, for example, you've mentioned that you're mostly an audio consumer, right?
Yes.
So you prefer to consume your podcast through audio apps. And, some people are big consumers of YouTube content, right?
Yeah.
Which is a video first.
I got YouTube Premium so I can consume the audio stuff on the go. I do like doing 2 things at one go. So if I'm cleaning my room or if I'm driving, audiobooks are a big thing for me as well. I know at least I did something with my time, and I didn't, because I love reading and I love consuming information, and sometimes I don't have time to sit still and watch something or read something. So the audio format for me is, I guess, top 1. So you can find me with the audio, and I never forget.
Do you think it's also more natural for people to react in a more positive way to something that is being advertised within a long form content if it's being consumed in the way they like it? For example, if you like an audio podcast and a brand or a product is going to be advertised through that long form content, are you likely to consume it with a more positive vibe, let's say?
Yeah, probably, but it depends on the quality as well. I mean, if you're just going to give me because I'm here or because you found me in a place is not enough, right? You need to find me at my interests as well. Like, what am I into? How do I like consuming things? If you're going to make it boring or if you're going to make it super loud, I probably won't enjoy it. It's personal preferences, not just in the way I consume my format, but what I consume as well is important.
How would you define the most organic new era advertising that is integrated within your favorite content? How would you define a good one, a good level one?
How do you mean?
I mean, so for example, how can you tell that this advertising
it's
is
like
done?
It's the most organic. I hate to say it, but TikTok for me, I'm only going to talk about myself. I'm not going to talk about the industry standard. I'm only going to talk about myself. The trend when started that TikTok made me buy it. Unfortunately, I was a victim to it. I feel like TikTok now it's become a bit more curated, but for the longest time, TikTok felt so organic and so like seamless.
Yeah, and what do you think makes it so organic and seamless?
It's because it's regular people consuming things and giving really authentic reviews or opinions about things, but then at some point you couldn't tell if it was authentic or not, if it was but obviously there are triggers they need to activate to tell if it's an ad or not, but it's real people. It's like your sister or your friend, your brother giving an advice, like, oh, try this or try that, you must buy this.
Have you ever faced any sort of feeling of like, how can I trust if this influencer, for example, is advertising a really good quality product? Do you think advertising like that, authentic or influencer generated, let's say, fit for any product, or are there only a few niches that fit for that particular product?
It really depends what the influencer is trying to sell, and if you're talking about influencer marketing, I think it works. I think getting your name out there, the awareness, it works. It helps. Does it work on me? Not all the time. My professional experiences, it works. I mean, the reason why there's such a influx of influencers and AI companies and AI agents is because it works. It's a huge industry. So I'm not going to sit here and say it doesn't work. I feel like I have been influenced in one way or the other by either a popular one or a non-popular one. So whether they should have certain niches, maybe, but I don't believe in that personally. I feel like you can be four things at one time. So you can sell like a car and like you can showcase a car and then also like a lipstick. It doesn't really matter.
I agree with you because we're living in the era when people have got different dimensions and different channels, right? So you can be a corporate person doing a client role, and at the same time, you can be an influencer in a podcasting niche, isn't it?
Yeah,
so this is how we live, and this is how we work nowadays because of the number of channels. I want to move a little bit towards the industry standards and podcasting and advertising. So when it comes to let's say industry, the media industry, so how do you think when it comes to brands, for example, how do you think podcasting sort of helping them to lead a certain part of the narratives that they're pushing out there to the clients?
Yeah, I mean, like I said initially, that podcasting is such an intimate space when you integrate it in a very, I feel like based on the genre, if you integrate your messaging in a very seamless way, it almost resonates with the listener. It feels very organic. It doesn't feel like it's been pushed out. although I've had certain ads that felt so like forced, I'm really listening to a calm thing and suddenly I hear a jingle and I'm like, I did not want to hear this, but I didn't forget them. Like I remember it. If that was their point to annoy me, that I got annoyed, but I remember them. But I feel like podcasting space is 100% an extremely intimate space where you can reach your consumers with like a very tailored message. It's not for the masses. So you have to be also very curated and selective of how you are delivering that message. Unlike radio, TV, or anything else, it feels very intimate. It's like I'm listening with my headset. It's usually people listen to podcasts with their headsets on. So I don't know. I just feel like it's an extremely intimate experience, which brands are currently seeking. You know, like you want to connect with your audience on a one-on-one level, and I think podcast space allows you to do that.
I think we're still on the way of, to learn how to create the branded or B2B podcasts in a way that they are integrated into marketing in the way that they should be, not straight away talking about the big message, but exactly practicing that intimate way to explore things on a much deeper level, let's say.
I have a question for you. What's your take on B2B podcasting in general? Like, what is the kind of content or education level should they be following to resonate with brands who are seeking B2B audiences? Like, let's say a huge investment or tourism, they're seeking B2B. And what should a podcaster content look like? What should we be seeking as brands?
I think so that the brands are primarily seeking for the reliability of the content, right? So that the brand, if positioned within a conversation, that is first of all credible and stable, right? So we don't want to jeopardize the reputation of the brand and being found within the conversations that are not really, credible at least, right? Or at least they're not to the extent of they can be entertaining for sure, but then it has to also follow things like the values that the brand possesses as well, right? You don't want to be within the conversations that are not in line with the values. I think that is the most important thing. And also the regular consistency of that show, I think, is also very, very important, isn't it? So you want to make sure that the audience is growing, that the right people are listening to it, and that you can place your brand and the conversation organically into that conversation. And usually the podcasters who found their voice in terms of how they're doing the interviews or the conversations or the topics that they're raising, they become those shows. But as I mentioned, we're on a long run to learn how to do it organically for the B2B space specifically.
If I'm not wrong, your podcast is also B2B
my podcast is called Vision Voices, yes.
Yeah. So are you more focused on B2B voices or like C-suite voices? Are you focused on brands that will resonate with B2B audiences?
My biggest sort of mission behind the conversations that I'm running is to put the human stories behind the B2B landscapes. And what I mean by that, we want to make the world of the brands human, because every business, every role, every move within the business and every new solution and every new product has got a story behind it. For example, last week I attended an event, and one of the best presentations that actually touched my heart deeply started with the personal story that resonated a lot. So the lady, the startup founder, she was she's developing mental health app.
Okay.
But it started from the fact that she had a big strategy in the family. I mean, first thing, she opened up. Second of all, she built a business out of it. And I'm pretty sure that behind each and every role in the business, there's something, there was a starting point from where that person started going that particular direction.
And it shows credibility of the app as well, in a way where you know this person has a personal interest, right? And they're not going to give up on it. That's true.
Yeah, and the format like that also allows you to go deeper into things like mental health specifically, not
Sure.
necessarily directed to business, right? It can you can talk about kids, you can talk about society in general, right? How whether it is, I mean, there are so many directions that you can take,
Yeah.
and that's all within a podcasting, and it might not be perfect, right?
That's true. That's very true. That's very true. I have another question for you. So, what, in your opinion, is the worst ad you've heard? You don't need to name them, but what kind of format and which kind of content it was plugged into, in your opinion, that you faced was like the worst kind of ad on a podcast?
I am absolutely devastated with the amount of advertising that is happening on a free YouTube plan, for example. The ones that are disrupt your listening or disrupt your content consumption. Even if the content is good, and then suddenly there's a very aggressive ad coming into, and I think we have to change that. It has to change.
100%.
Yes,
Something
yes.
has to change there, especially when they're jingles. When you're listening to something, you're like really focused, and they're like jingles. I think don't do it, in my opinion.
And I'm like, how do you think people are going to consume your service or your product or your brand if they're interrupted in this way?
Exactly.
There has to be a more creative way to integrate that.
Yeah, very true. As a podcaster, though, I want to ask you, what is today? How long have you been running your show?
Well, my show is about 4.5 years, I think, even 5 years. Yeah, but
Oh,
I rebranded it
fantastic.
into Vision Voices just several months ago.
Okay,
Before that, it
fantastic.
was very much focused on marketing.
Okay.
And that was my heritage. It also how you develop the story that you're
Right.
bringing through a podcast, right?
5 years now. How do you think the landscape has changed as a podcaster? What's that side looking like? Because I've been on the buy side and going in the podcasting space as a creator, I realized I knew it was a lot of work, but then you go into it and you're like, that's a lot of stuff to take care of.
It's the whole lifestyle, isn't
It's
it?
a whole life, and it's people think, oh, it's I'm just gonna listen, just do it. You know, I need it tomorrow. I need it after. It's not just inviting someone, recording and editing, and that's it. It's not it. There's so much that goes into it. How do you feel 5 years from now, like 5 years when you started to now, how do you feel about the space has changed? I'm sure like a lot of things have become a little more automated for you, but before it was all
In
you on
terms
your
of-
own, right?
Definitely in terms of production and post-production, as things have changed, a lot more tools have appeared there, right? The ones that we can use. A lot more podcasters that you can talk. See how organically we switched to a conversation. You started asking me questions. So probably 5 years ago, there were only a few people who were prepared, to master that art of
This
suddenly
is my
interviewing.
first impromptu. I love it.
No, but that's there's a power behind you stepping out of your usual probably corporate box, not in a bad sense. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a corporate job and having a podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think it's just not easy, right, to combine things.
No, and as someone, me personally, I love doing multiple things at one time. I don't like to box myself. Like, it's not a bad thing to be called a podcaster, or it's not a bad thing to be in corporate. I just don't want to be named as one. I'm like, can I just be Anam? I don't want to be Anam from this company. I don't want to be Anam just who's that. You know, I'd love to experience life in different formats.
I love how you're saying it, because I think that's the way to move forward.
Yeah.
And you have to be brave enough to accept that and
Yeah.
to actually start implementing that, right?
And I think in a way, when you stop attaching yourself to one title or one goal, you don't disappoint yourself as well, you know, because we go so tunnel vision towards one focus that when that's done, you're just like, what next? And you're lost. I'm like, I never want to feel like that again. You know, I just want to enjoy everything I do. One last one. In terms of podcasting, interviewing, what are the current challenges that you face in terms of interviewing people? So I know they're the generic ones, finding the right kind of, guests, things like that. What's the biggest one that you face right now?
I think I've actually managed to put it in an insight or in an idea for myself recently. So the current consumption models pushed and directed by big giants like YouTube or let's say Spotify or Apple Podcasts, they're all based on revenue, right? So you need to be able to produce a content that is going to be consumed. We rarely think about the depth of the conversation. And the conversations that matter might not be perfect.
Right.
But you need to be able to to go through, to listen to. You need to be courageous to be able to sort of record something that is not popular, but it probably raises a few important things that brands and individual creators need to pay attention. Because all of us, for example, we are parents. We're all bringing up future generations who do not need more content. They need better content, right?
100%.
And that's what I think is the biggest challenge: is how to produce deep content, but at the same time the content that is being consumed.
Okay, amazing. I want to ask you my favorite question. What do you think in either the podcasting space or your journey from, I suppose you were in corporate before you started your podcast?
Yes, I
and
was.
you're completely out of that. Now you're a full-time podcaster?
I'm a full-time, sort of media and content creation person.
Amazing.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. What do you think, what would you say was the one thing that wasn't in the manual for you when you were going on this journey? Like, nobody gave you this guide. You had to figure it out.
No, nothing was on the manual. Nothing was on the manual. Honestly, it's a trial and error, and it's also a lot of personal work because you have to. As I said, you need to be able to motivate yourself.
Yeah.
Even if the things are not exciting, if something that you produce does not feel exciting for you, and you think that people out there see it all, and you need to find a way how to move forward anyway.
Yeah.
And probably also accept things that you're not perfect from day one, right?
Yeah.
And you will probably never be.
100%.
Yes.
It's a work in progress. And do you think that would be also your advice to anyone looking to start a podcast maybe today?
Anyone who is changing, or who is, for example, like yourself, who is on the journey of multi-positioning, that's how I call it, right? So who is testing all different roles. I think definitely things like resilience will play a huge role.
Right.
So you just have to stay where you are on that journey, even if things are not going, even if things are not on the manual, let's say, right? And it's not perfect. It didn't work out. Accept the mistake and go and move forward. Yes,
yeah, 100%. As we were recording our episodes, I'm like, okay, every episode is a new learning. And we may suck for a bit, and then we'll get better, and then we'll suck for a bit again, and then we'll get better again. I don't know if I can say suck.
There's a lot of training content available. Plus, what I like as well, the ecosystem is there now.
Yeah.
So you've got companies like Next Broadcast Media. You've got companies like Foster. You've got other studios. You've got governmental, authorities who are helping small projects. Get better exposure. I think we're just in a really great place for starting things.
And I think Dubai, out of anywhere else, is such a great place to network and connect with people. And I love that we met after, I think, a year, and it just feels very organic and natural. And I think something like this is very normal in Dubai, so you can always find your people. So yeah, this has been great, Laura.
Lovely. Yeah, nice meeting you.
Nice
and I'm
meeting you
happy we
again.
did it actually in a year's time, because I
me
think
too.
last year it would be a different conversation.
Probably, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, this was
Things
great.
happen
Thank
at the right
you.
time.
Absolutely.